Hi, this is going to be another session. This session is going to focus mainly on the hips and pelvis and moving it in different directions, which is very close to walking or running. So if you have restricted space at home, this is a great session because everything is going to be standing up, so you don't need a lot of floor space. What you need for this session today is 2 books. So we're using 2 hardback books. It could be yoga block if you have yoga blocks available, but something that's a bit kind of higher than you and a bit sturdy. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So we're going to start with the normal kind of thing that you usually do when you're lying on your back, but we do it standing. So Mike is going to have his heels right underneath his hips. Everything is stacked on top of each other. And then we're going to start with the knees bent, because with the knees bent releases or gives you more freedom of movement. And then quite often I use the image that if you have a paintbrush on your tailbone, you're bringing the tailbone forward, so the paintbrush moves forward towards the front, and then the paintbrush moves towards the back. So if the paintbrush is really long, you're just
painting a
stripe on the floor. So you're just going to do that a couple of times forward and back. Try.
I'm just going to lift my arms so they're not in the way of you seeing what I'm doing with my pelvis. You don't have to lift your arms up.
Exactly. So what we don't want to do is kind of moving the whole body forward and back. Yeah, so we want to keep the shoulders and the hips right on top, the heels, and then painting that line on the floor. Now, we're going to do the same movement, but this time we're going to do it with straight legs. Now, your movement will be limited, and there might be other parts of your body that want to help you to do that movement, but be kind or be kind of happy with small changes. So from there, Mike, his knees are straight, they stay in straight, and now he's going to try doing exactly the same. So if your line, you repainted your line before, was that big, probably it's going to be that big or that small. So it's a lot smaller movement.
If I lift my t-shirt up so you can see my waistband.
Good. All right, and then from there, Mike is going to take 1 foot in front, so you're taking a little lunge. The front knee is bent, so you have this knee over your foot, and the back leg is straight. Now, that's it. So from there, he's going to now try to rock his pelvis, exactly the same movement as we did before, without bending this knee. So we're keeping the back leg straight, the front knee bend. That position stays the same, and now he's going to try doing exactly the same thing. And this is going to allow for a nice little tension on that back leg. Do you feel that?
Lots of pull through here as I try and paint the forward end of my stripe on the floor.
So again, be kind, don't make it a big movement. So we usually refer this to body weight centers, so the pelvis, the ribcage, and the head stays exactly where it is, and you're just moving around. And you do the same on the other side. And you make the stance a bit smaller, a bit bigger. Just play around what feels a bit comfortable for you, or feels like you're in control here. You can actually maintain that position, and then rocking backwards and forwards. Fantastic. And you can do that at any time when you're waiting in a queue, Tesco's, Waitrose, M&S.
2 meters away from the next person in the queue.
Okay, the next movement is going to be a movement of the pelvis again, but slightly different. So we use 2 kind of big books here. So I'm sure you can find some books at home, or a yoga block, or 2 yoga blocks actually. So yes, so head on. I forgot your feet are quite big in comparison to mine. So from here, so Mike is going to stand there for a second and just have the left leg, so his right leg is on,
Just in case you go on free.
so his right leg is on the books, his left leg is just dangling, and you can just let it dangle. I'm just going to have a look. You can have your whole picture.
Okay.
Good. Now, from this position, you want to try pushing your right foot into, like you want to dig your foot into the books. And as you do that, this hip is going to lower. So it's going to move away from your rib cage. And then from this position, you're going to try sinking. So almost feel like you want to flatten the arch of your foot. And you feel, hopefully, that this hip is going to lift. So it's going to hike up. So from there, you're going to push the right foot.
Do you want to show on what I'm doing?
Yeah, so from this position, so let this foot wants to be completely weightless. So if you're, so Mike has his, so you might have to have a wall to support or a stick. Let me know if you need a stick or anything, yeah? So from this position, Mike is going to drop his arch. So I've got my fingers underneath his arch, and he's going to try to push his arch into my fingers. When he does that, this hip is going to be a little bit higher. This is called pronation. What?
Higher than this one.
Yes, higher than that one. That's it. So he's hiked up on this side, and now I'm going to ask him to move his arch away from my fingers, so more weight on the outside without losing the connection with the big toes. So imagine the foot is a tripod, and he's still maintaining that tripod, and now this hip is going to be lower than that one. And you could see that clearly, hopefully. I can see it, hopefully it's clear from there. So you can see the trousers just slightly hiked up on that side. So from here, again, I'm going to ask him to drop his arch into my finger. So you're lengthening the foot. This is excellent work for the foot and the ankle. And then from there, and for balance, of course, as well, I'm going to ask him to move away from my fingers. So we're going to do that a couple more times. This is quite tiring, and what we're trying to do here is really activating the muscles on this side of the hip, so your gluteus or your buttock muscles on the side. So again, you can have a little bit of support, have your broomstick there, or do it next to the wall for support.
So I have to really focus on what I'm doing with my foot that's on the books and this leg. It would be easy for me to pull with my muscles here, but we don't want them to be doing the work. Again, as Anushka's saying, it's all about what's happening over here.
It's all about the standing leg, the leg that is in contact with the books. So we're going to do the same on the other side.
Shall I change position?
Yeah.
Maybe change the angle.
Maybe change the angle. Good. So the focus is going to be on this side, and then the same thing here. Just try. So what you're trying to do is really trying to almost feel like your foot is getting longer as you're dropping the arch, and as you drop the arch, you're hiking the hip on the standing leg, and then try to almost feel like you're sucking the floor up with the arch of your foot, but without losing that tripod connection of your feet. Tripod connection is the ball of the big toe, little toe, and the center of the heel. So you want to keep your foot firmly, but it's the arches that are really working hard, and you want to keep the arches mobile, but also there needs to be an amount of stiffness, which is the hard work, the strength. So a combination of both. Yeah, so very much work on the glutes on this side. If you don't feel the burn, maybe do a couple more, but kind of go towards the burn and then try to do another 2, because that's when we're really building strength. Very good for loading the hip joint, especially if you're suffering of osteoporosis or a little bit of loss of bone density in the hip joint. So, okay, so from this position, yes. So we're going to go into rotation. Yeah. So actually, let's do this one.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're going to, let me just go over to this side. So we're going into balancing on one leg, and you almost want to think like there's a clock, and you are in the middle of the clock. 12 o'clock will be right in front of you. 1 o'clock will be there, 2 and 3, and then this will be obviously 11, what did I say? 12, 11, 10 and 9. So we're going to do an exercise where you're going to balance on one leg. Sorry for the balancing. This is again for the hip. And we're going to go to 12 o'clock. So I'm going to try for Mike to touch the floor, but not resting onto the floor. So at any time he can lift his foot off. And then I'm going to spiral this leg into the floor to come back up. And then a little touch. If you need for balance, you can rest it for a moment. But ideally you want to keep the balance there. Now we're going to go to 1 o'clock. So it's not only your foot that goes, it's your pelvis. So you imagine headlights on your pelvis. So now we're going to go to 1 o'clock with the pelvis. And then we push into the floor. So we got that same exercise as we did before. And now we're going to go to 2 o'clock. So your pelvis rotates. And then it comes back, screwing that left foot into the floor, lifting the arch. And again, the arch drops as we go. Bend the knee to 3 o'clock. And then coming back. And then maybe see if you can do 4 o'clock. You can continue, you can do 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, but it's the harder. There you go, and that's already hard work. That's it. Good. So we're going to do that on the other side. All right. So again, I would say 1 on each side, and then maybe you do 2 on each side, but alternating sides. Otherwise, it gets really demanding. So we go to 12 o'clock. So here, like before, Mike is lengthening the arch, and then he lifts the arch. That's it. And then it goes to 11. And again, suction of the foot of that standing leg. And then he goes to 10. And then coming back. And then he goes to 9. And you will feel that one side might feel a bit different than the other side. Maybe one side is a bit more stable. Maybe one side is a little bit more wobbly, or maybe both sides are the same. So now it's going to 8 o'clock. So you can see his whole body is turning and then coming back and release. Okay.
Hard work for my feet.
Very hard work for the feet. And also balancing, working on loading the hip joint. That's what it's all about. So from this position, we're going to go into, remember the one that we're going to do? Yeah, so we're going to go into the lunge.
It's probably better if I'm head on.
Yeah.
Do you think?
Yes.
We can do both.
So this is more about a hike. So basically we're in this position here. Your knee goes over the foot. So you want to make sure that you're not here, that the knee is kind of right over the foot. So if you have a wall there, the knee would touch the wall. So from here, from this position,
back leg is straight.
Yes, but so you're basically going to think of hiking the left hip and then bring it back. And you can bring it back, going back a little bit. So you're coming in and out the position. So this is your starting position, just to kind of making sure that, you know, you're keeping the hips kind of square. And then from there, you're hip hiking on that left side. And your body, your spine is going to do some side bending, but your head is always over. So if we're side bending, we're not having the head just kind of side bending with it. So your head stays on top. So there's a nice little kind of curve happening in your spine, and you're coming in and out of the position. That's it. And this leg stays straight. Remember before we had a nice movement where the front of the hip is opening. You probably feel some
big stretch.
Big stretch there. Maybe some on the inner thighs. So we're kind of side bending the spine, and then with a hip hike. That's it. So I can have Mike to ask to push into my fingers. So you're really loading the front of the foot. Again, we're slightly dropping the arch as we bring the knee forward. So the hip hike on this side. So this is bringing it all together and then come back.
I think that's enough.
Yeah. Okay. And then the other side.
So we change the angle?
Yes.
Okay. So you tell me where.
I'll have a look. Making sure that you get the most out of the position.
Maybe from here?
Yes, good. That seems like that's it. And going back, so you can really straighten out, go back a little bit, so you got a little bit, yeah, that's it. A little bit more range, a bit more mobility. So I can see that Mike is really hiking his right hip, his arch is dropped, his feet are working really hard, and then when he comes out of it, his arch is kind of suctions like a suction cup without losing. So dropping the arch, there we go, and then lifting the arch. Sometimes we're kind of cautious about dropped arches because it's a taboo, and as we get older we think that we are losing the arch, but the arch is there for a reason, so we need to kind of give in to the arch to be able to get the mobility to come out of it. So if your arches are high, and that means that your foot is quite stiff, so we want to keep mobility in the foot to be able to then for all the joints to do their work. So again, Mike here is dropping the arch, and then as he goes back, automatically you can see the arch lifts. Nice, good. All right, so hopefully you had some sensations in your body, and hopefully that this will help you to kind of go for a walk, and maybe think about what your feet are doing when you go for a walk, or more importantly when you go for a run, or when you move down the house in your house or in your flat. I would really recommend barefoot when you're at home, because then the arches can really start working rather than wearing shoes. But that's just a suggestion. So hopefully you enjoy this. If you have any questions, please contact us via Facebook
or
email, or our individual teachers if you have any questions. So yeah.
Enjoy.
Enjoy.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you.